9 years ago, we saw what has been considered by most to be the wildest day in cubing history. The morning of November 17th, 2015 started with Keaton Ellis breaking the Rubik's Cube world record single with a 5.09. But we haven't seen anything like this record since, because you see the record was completely lost to time. Later that same day, Lucas Etter at the exact same competition broke Keaton's mere hours-old record along with the sub-5 barrier with a 4.90. Because of this, Keaton's 5.09 would never even count as a world record in the first place. But the reason I bring all of this up is because we just saw something eerily similar on August 3rd, 2024. The difference being that this time, they were 7,000 miles apart. Going into the evening of August 3rd, Hyung's fastest 3x3 solve officially was a 4.57, good enough for 65th in the world, but what he was about to do on the final solve of his average, and what may have been the last solve of the competition entirely, has only been done 2 other times in recorded history, and even then, never quite like this.
8 seconds. Yes! Oh my god. Oh my god.
The average T-Fop solve is 55 moves. Aaron's right here was 28. Now, most people just taking a look at the scramble right here could probably notice the quite easy 3-move X-cross into the back with a B2 R prime and then a D to line this up and solve this block right here. But what makes this solve so efficient for Aaron is that he also notices we have this corner solved in the bottom left. And now all he needs to do is find the green-red edge, which goes right here, and that piece is down here. And there's one move that he does that truly differentiates this solve and does make it a 28-move solution. And that's simply after doing the first move, which is just, of course, the B2 to solve this edge and this cross edge, and then doing a U move, instead of just simply inserting this piece. Doing a U move then solves this edge down here, and then whenever we do a D, to not only align this, but we also get this whole block right here. And then the next few moves are pretty self-explanatory, of course, just kind of sledging in this edge, and now we have a double X-cross. Aaron's first pair that he sees while finishing off the double X-cross is this green-orange right here, so he ends up rotating. And then you can actually notice that while you pair these two up, with a simple RU2 R prime, this pair is going to come out. And what this means is, this is just something that you'll pick up from, doing more solves and stuff like that, is it's kind of an intuition thing. Whenever you see this, it's also very easy to see it because it's coming out of its slot whenever you pair these two up. Whenever you see that you have this case attached to this already solved pair, a really cool thing you can do is instead of just inserting the pair and then getting this case, you can actually use a sledgehammer to insert it. And that results in these two being paired up. So very, very nice on the fly being able to notice that. And then this is the most crucial part of Aaron's solve right here. Whenever he inserts these two, he can actually see that while he's doing that, you can kind of predict the OLO here. So he already knows it's going to be this T case, but he didn't really know that it was going to be the skip case. He just saw that there were going to be blocks. So here he actually had a very interesting decision to make, which is between solving this and then canceling into the OLO, and then waiting to see which PLL he got, or since you see all of these adjacent blocks and you know that it might skip, there's like a 50-50 chance, you could just full send it and hope for a skip basically while doing this U move for AUF on the OLL, and that is exactly what Aaron ended up doing here on his solve. And luckily enough, he did end up getting the skip, does the U move for AUF, and that is a 346. The other outcome here, in case you're wondering, is whenever he's inserting this final pair and canceling into OLL, from this position, you can't tell if it's going to be a skip, so of course, if you would have full sended it, and it was actually the other case where you have adjacent blocks on this TOLO, you would have ended with a Y perm, and then you would have just put down the cube, and it would have been a DNF. So, he did get a little bit lucky here, and he said it himself, he just full sended it basically, and it paid off. Now this 346 placed him 3rd in the world, becoming the only person not named Max Park or Luke Garrett to break Yiheng Wang's 347, a record that stood for nearly 5 years, along with being the first person we've seen do it in all of 2024. This is even 1/100th of a second faster than Yiheng's fastest official solve, somehow outranking the best in the world. But he might have just chosen the worst day to do it. Because ladies and gentlemen, just an hour later, Yiheng Wang had to once again show us why he is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the fastest cuber in the world. Simply explaining what Yiheng does on the solve doesn't really do it justice at all, so just keep in mind that he was doing all of this at 14 plus TPS and with absolutely 0 pauses. So the main idea of this X-cross he's going to end up forming here is that you can actually do an L prime and a U2, and that'll form this huge block right here. So keeping that in mind, Yiheng, of course, with such an easy start, will end up looking for his second pair right here, and that's going to be the blue-red. And the cool thing about the solution is whenever you form the X-cross with this blue-orange block, this blue-red is actually going to become a 3-mover into the back. And there's no extra fancy stuff or anything like that you have to do to set it up. It actually just comes pre-made with the solution. But what does take some consideration here for Yiheng is which finger tricks to use to actually do this X-cross most efficiently and ergonomically. So how he starts off the solve is actually with white facing him. So he'll start it by just picking the cube up like this, and then he starts out with a wide R prime, instead of, starting from here and doing an L prime. And the reason he does that is because from this grip right here, you can very easily transition into doing the U2 prime with your left hand. And then you can use this freed up ring finger to insert this cross edge. So now we have 2 out of the 4 cross edges in. And then simply it's just inserting this block. And then I believe he did the F prime with this finger like this. You can also, in this situation, probably do this, but that's also keeping in mind that you just use that finger for the B prime. Both ways to do the F prime are completely fine. And then that of course sets up into this 3-mover into the back. And now from here, you can very easily look ahead into which pair you're gonna do. So you do have an option here, but Yiheng chose to do these two, the red-green. So he sees these two, and then he simply pairs these up. And he can also see that these two are going to be his next pair, which is really, really nice because 1, he doesn't have to rotate anymore throughout the entirety of the solve. And secondly, the look ahead is just really, really easy because this only makes 1 move from here and then to the back. And then from here, he ends up getting a really, really nice OLL case. And I do think that he kind of predicted PLL here in one way or another, at least seeing maybe the corner orientation and knowing that it was going to be an edge-only PLL. So he does end up doing this. And then absolutely 0 pauses into this R3 U-perm, which he executes like this, and then it's just a U prime AUF. And ladies and gentlemen, this was a 46 move solve on a 3.38. So that checks out to around 13.9 or 14 TPS. So the first 3.3 second solve we've ever seen, and it's full step. 5 years ago, this wasn't regarded as physically possible. But that isn't even where all of the lunacy ends, ladies and gentlemen, because this competition as a whole was completely unhinged. Of course, a 338 from Yiheng in round 1, but round 2 brought us something that doesn't just have to do with 1 solve, but 15 of them. And it's a record that will not be broken for a very, very long time. You see, in round 2, we didn't only see a 481 PR average from 7-year-old Chuanyi Zhang, moving him up to 3rd in the world, but we also saw a 492 from Hyunh. But they finished 2nd and 3rd in this round, meaning a 509 average from Bofan Zhang in 4th. Did not make the top 3 in this round. This was the world record just 2 years ago. But that's not it, because if you average together the top 3 from this round, you get the fastest podium from any round ever. Because at the very top spot was Yiheng Wang with an average that would have been world record if it was done less than a month prior. A 446 average, now his 2nd fastest ever, consisting of the highest TPS solve ever, a 3, and a 4.36 best possible average. That's right, he could have tied his own world record on the last solve, but who's even surprised by stuff like this anymore? What truly haunts me right now about all of this is that there was absolutely 0 reaction to the 3.38. I don't even want to ask this question really, but what times is he getting at home? I seriously think he's hiding at least a mid-3 average, like I said on stream, but my main worries here are about Max Park's 3.13. If I'm being generous here, I'd give it another 3 to 4 months, but if this solve was a PLL skip, this is easily a 2.7 or even like a 2.6. If this was a last layer skip, I don't even want to think about that. This whole weekend in general was crazy. At this point, I'm just waiting for World Record Single to drop. So subscribe so that you don't miss the video about Luke Garrett's 289. Oh, sorry, I spoiled the plot. I'll just, edit that out later. I didn't. Forget to tell you that you are still, in fact, slower than a 6-year-old. Did you know that? You're slower than a 6-year-old. Guess what? It's official now. Unless your name is Timon Koloshinsky or Yiheng Wang, you are still slower than a 6-year-old. And this is your daily reminder that that is the case. Actually, he's 7. Guess what? You're slower than a 7-year-old. Does that make you feel any better? There you go. Anyway, yeah, just want to talk about that a little bit. And besides that, that's about it. See ya.